Yeah, we'll do the candy first.
Happy New Year, baby.
We are now recording.
Good evening, everyone. I now call this special call meeting on Wednesday, January 10th, to order. And the only item on the agenda tonight, which may come in several parts, is collection enforcement. So I'll start off with the reason I asked for the meeting was, and by the way, just for everybody's knowledge, I'm fighting a migraine. I don't think I've ever had one, but it's almost debilitating. I'm gonna try to get through this. If I get up and leave and hand Mr. Nash the gavel, that's the reason. But anyway, at the last meeting we had, I thought it'd be a benign issue to put the collections and put the situation with Miss Candy Early behind us. And I asked council to rescind the motion that was made employing the services of Hawthorne and Hawthorne. And we had two members that was not present, and the motion did not carry. Speaking to the two council members that was not here, I felt it was necessary to get us all together so that all seven could weigh in, because in my opinion, this is a very significant decision. So I will open the floor if there's any motions, and then we can have a discussion if it needs to be revisited or we don't. What's council's pleasure?
Being that it was, obviously Mr. Allman and myself were on the end of, I guess you would say, the losing end of that. Can anything come from us?
Absolutely. Robert's Rules of Order states that if you are on the losing end of a proposition or a motion, you may not bring it up again in that meeting, okay? And I'm not sure about a continued meeting, but this is a special call meeting, and it is separate from the meeting we had before, so anyone is available to.
With that, I move that we rescind the motion of continuing to prosecute Ms. Early.
Point of procedure, Mr. Mayor. Also in Robert's Rules, a motion to rescind can only come after the meeting that the motion was originally passed. This motion was originally passed in November. Taking it up in December at the continued meeting is technically was a same meeting as December, so it's proper to bring it up. It would have to be worded, I believe, in a different wording than
I'll
rescinded.
entertain that. I think the end result is we're gonna vote on it.
I
But
agree.
nevertheless,
All right, well,
if you'll, if you'll, no,
I
if you'll give me, if you'll just help me, I get through this, okay? Will you just withdraw your motion, let's start all over again. So, I would say the best thing to do is to make a motion to the effect of putting this case behind us and move forward, something to that.
I move that we.
Question to this motion,
I ain't had a motion yet.
but a question to this. Always thought, and under Robert's Rules of Order, always thought the winning person had to bring this back up for it to go back on the floor. The loser can't bring it up.
I think it has to be in this, I think once
Same
the next
meeting.
meeting happens.
Same
it
meeting.
I
resets.
think you're wrong.
Okay, well, I've read it 3 times. I will make a copy
I
of
mean, I
it.
ain't gonna argue with you,
Well, you
but I
wanna
think
make the
you're
motion
right.
then, and then we'll have to worry about it.
Mr. Miller, I will say, that's the way we've always functioned.
That's right.
And I will tell you this, Ben mentioned it the other day, and I thought it was wrong, and I checked it. And remember, I had that little cheat sheet for Robert's Rule of Order, and I looked it up, and it does say specifically that day.
And
I was wrong.
the rescinding happens
That's the way we
next
typically
meeting.
Wait, headache or not, what did you say, sir? You were what?
Oh yeah, what's today? What's
All right.
today?
I move.
What's today?
I move that we do not proceed on with the charges against Candy Early / Herb Cottage due to it being paid in full.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Are
Yeah,
you
I
asking for
have
the
some,
floor?
yeah, may I have the floor?
Renee?
So I advocated earlier in the year, and I just bringing this up because you guys kind of talked about the last meeting I went at, for these charges to be brought, and I still think that they should have been brought, but back in February, March, and I really think that council needs to look at its policies and codify it in its code that on a certain date, we're gonna send you the tax, and on a certain date, you're gonna get charged, and that the discretion comes away from this council and staff and the administration, and
That's-
it's an automatic thing.
That's the second item we're gonna talk about,
Okay.
okay? So I agree with you, I
I
understand.
agree. It shouldn't be case by case. It shouldn't be who we know or whatever it
Well,
should be.
Need to be
we
set in
need
stone.
we need to stay within the purview of this motion.
But I
And then
will-
if you wanna talk about it, I am gonna be talking about it later,
So,
But the reason why, and I'm so sorry, I just want to finish my point. The reason why I'm going to vote to cease is because this is a 2-year-long issue. It should have been done 10 months ago when we talked about it first. And the next guy's going to want 2 years. So we really need to fix these policies and just move on from this. That's my position.
well, that's what we're gonna talk about tonight.
Thank
But is there any other discussion on this motion?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know we talked, last week about, the town manager getting in contact with the Commonwealth attorney. Do we have any, information on that?
I do not, I was waiting for tonight to be taken care of, and then that would dictate the phone call.
So
See if we
she
were
hasn't been
moving forward.
contacted. She was supposed to be in contact the next day. According to the motion, she was supposed to be in contact the next day.
I understand, I spoke with the mayor and several council people after that last meeting, and I was gonna proceed on. And I think that the intention was to hold this meeting, and I was asking to stand down on the prosecution. So, and I agree with that, and personally, I think that's the right decision, but, I will certainly do so based on the vote tonight.
We voted on it twice already, but I hear you.
I got a question. Okay. So, if we go after her,
Go after it strong, man. I said, go after it strong. You know what I'm saying? If we follow the code, pursue this misdemeanor charge.
but I'm saying,
Yeah.
if we go at her, from what I'm hearing, that there is no advantage to this, and if the Commonwealth attorney decides that she doesn't want to take this case, then we're going to have to end up spending money ourselves.
You are
So-
correct, you are correct, and if you don't mind me piggybacking, we've already spent $2,200 and maybe change with Hawthorne, and we haven't done anything. So what in the world is it gonna cost to pursue this with court dates and such as that? You make an excellent point.
But my thing is, and also I'm gonna say this. Like you say, we all fell down on this. So this should be a lesson learned. And it should be a lesson learned by everybody because this is a serious issue.
Well, I wanna talk about that.
Because I'm gonna tell
tonight.
you why it's a serious issue. Because at first everybody wanted to prosecute the lady. Now all of a sudden nobody wants to prosecute her. Which I'm not saying prosecute the lady, but I'm saying if we got codes here, we need to stick to them. This is the whole problem with this council. We're not sticking to what we say we're gonna do.
Well, we're gonna talk about that tonight, cause I agree, okay?
I think we definitely need to make sure, if and where possible, that all legal fees go back to those that are, delinquent,
And that-
if possible.
Say what now?
And that should that'd be a part of the
Absolutely.
review and the,
Could find that out.
changing-
Everything you saying needs
Hold
to
on
be
just a second.
clarified.
Mr. Gormas, Mr. Gormas has the floor.
to what y'all saying, I'm not arguing the point that we need to relook at this code. But changing the code in the middle of a situation, in my opinion, is wrong. And secondly, what is the price on doing the right thing? How much is too much to pay to adhere to the code? $22.50? I mean, and it's not us that caused that cost. We should not feel the guilt of that cost because we choose to follow the code that's in place. That's all I'm saying. I ain't gonna stand up on the soapbox long. I'm just saying.
Well, I think you make great points. I don't disagree with you.
That's all.
Okay, I
I'll
don't.
leave it, let it go like
But
that.
if you don't mind me rebutting, the whole thing was botched. It's been botched. It was botched by the council before us and botched by this council. And I think it's in the best interest of Blackstone for this to go away. And we have the time tonight. We're all 7 here. We can legally discuss these items, and then we do what you say, prevent this from happening again. And Mr. Miller, that's my thoughts. Mr.
I hear
Page.
you, and two
Well,
wrongs don't make a right. though.
I
That's
agree
all
with you
I'm
100%,
And I-
okay?
I
And normally, normally you and I gonna walk
We supposed to run the
lockstep.
town like a business.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Well,
But the
this ain't gonna happen no more. I don't care what nobody says. It's not gonna happen again.
Okay.
No, because we shouldn't have to go through this.
No, I don't want to, and I wanna take the time tonight. We have staff here. We have time to do it. I wanna get it right and be done with it. So, Mr. Page.
So, just going off a couple of the comments, I just want to point out that I don't believe the Commonwealth Attorney will ever enforce a town ordinance misdemeanor. And I think that's always done traditionally by the town attorney. Now, right now, we don't have a town attorney, am I correct?
Correct.
I believe the code says at that point, the Commonwealth Attorney is supposed to pick it up until we get one or we hire one. So we may want to talk to her about that. We need to also figure that into our ordinances in the future if we're going to enforce them, and this does need to be enforced. They are collecting money from people walking in their establishment just to hand it to us, and it's not getting handed over.
Again, I think Mr. Page, with all due respect, I have a motion and a second. We're talking about policy. The motion is to cease and desist from this particular activity. And I'd like to dispatch that. Then I'm gonna give you ample time to, I agree, everyone here, we don't want it to happen again, and you're right. There should be a mechanism in place we need to put in the ordinance that the fees, the attorney fees need to be the defendant's problem. But let's get through this motion, and then we'll have discussion. Is there anything else about this particular motion? I don't mean to cut you off, Mr. Page, and I'll give you ample time when we get to that part.
So a favorable vote means that it's ceased.
Then it's behind us and we'll move on. That's what I means, okay? Any other discussion? I ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Miller.
As bad as I hate to, I have reservations about this, but I'm gonna go ahead just so we can get it off this docket.
That means, are you indicating aye?
I'm indicating aye
Mr. Nash?
with reservations.
Okay.
Nay.
I with reservations.
Aye with reservations.
Aye.
That motion carries 7-0.
6-1.
6-1, man.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not myself tonight. Not that it means anything. All right.
I would, it's a discussion now.
Yes.
I would like to see if, Philip, if you can still contact our Commonwealth Attorney and figure out what the standard procedure is for when a town meals tax is not paid and who normally handles that. It's a little strange to me for us as a town to handle it, being that we're the ones that are,
The treasurer.
The treasurer handles it.
Code says the treasurer.
well, for criminal charges.
Code.
It's still the treasurer. Yeah.
But she files, we prosecute. It means we need.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
for
tell
me,
you,
yeah.
I
wanna
highly
know
doubt, and
prosecute.
it's nothing against Ms. Waters, but she's not gonna take this on. It's gonna be a town baby.
Well, she can't enforce town ordinances.
Yeah.
We have to do it. Except when we don't have a town attorney. So
Well,
that would be the question
like to-
asked.
Is it something that our staff can't, I wouldn't say that you prosecute, but I look at when we just go up and present the facts that we have, that if someone's late, you should be able to provide those documents, go, this is what we got. It's not really that you have to have a lawyer. I think this last case that we just dispatched is so convoluted, absolutely, you probably was gonna be a nasty one. But anything else, I mean, we should be able to just, as long as we follow what we're gonna put in place, it ought to be cut and dry where our staff can go up to the courthouse.
But you said the right word. You said the right word. As long as we follow
Oh,
what we
I'm
say
100%
we
with it.
gonna do.
And
But this is
and-
what the problem
and
is.
we-
We're not following what we say we gonna do.
Okay, well, we've got tonight, Mr. Van Orbeck, would you mind being at the podium so we can hear? I'm gonna be asking you, dragging you into this. What we need to do is we need to make up our mind. You know, are we gonna do what the current ordinance says, or do we need to have a public hearing and change the ordinance? Because I don't think it's right. I commend the council for their vote, but going forward, I don't think it's right to say that meals tax are late for 30 days and then we proceed at 60. I don't think that's right. I don't know that I don't even know that we have the authority to do that. So,
Mr. Mayor,
yes, sir.
I sat down with those two ladies right here this morning, and this is what they came up with.
Okay.
In which I don't think anybody on council disagrees with them.
Okay.
The only thing that needs to happen is to give them authorization to follow this out.
Okay, well, if you don't mind, this is the first I've seen of it, and I'm not, so, what are we gonna take on first?
Yeah, sure.
Just take the meals tax.
Meals
we talking about
tax.
meals tax?
Everybody have this meals tax collection handout. Okay?
So this is what I currently do. It's not something that I'm proposing or asking to be
This
adopted.
particular page.
The meals tax. This is my current collection process. And yes,
there-
and I've been told by multiple attorneys, no one will take on a case or even say we should press charges until I follow all of these steps. So certain notices have to be sent. You have to wait 15 days. You have to wait for 30 days. You can't just automatically say, all right, let's go press charges.
Right.
You can't. It's not legal. You can't
But
do
this
it.
other case was so far back,
Right.
it really nullified every bit of this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, all
that's
these
not
steps
your
were
fault.
still followed
Yeah.
with her. But like with a current business, these steps are being followed. We're at the last step now. So the next step, if the bank lien does not go through for whatever reason, is to criminally charge.
That's the only other.
That's the only other option.
So how far back was this one we just dispatched? How far delinquent? Just,
The current one,
the one that we just dispatched.
it was for 3 months in 2022. And then she started paying after that. So those 3 months were sent to tax.
Gotta remember, the majority of her outstanding principal was a COVID loan.
Yeah.
Correct.
That was the majority.
Well, that was from 2020, yeah.
$4,700, $4,800.
Yeah.
But what we're really talking about here for the
Meals tax.
So what, in a perfect world, what I'd like to do is I'd like you to field questions about this policy that's in front of us.
Sure.
And adopt it tonight.
Yeah.
And then it's gospel. Then,
Your
if you,
the proposed,
I think he's talking about this.
So we even, I mean, this is already in policy.
is this
This
already
is
in
what I do
policy?
currently. You
Okay.
can make it an official policy
Yeah,
if you
I think we
like.
should make it
Yes,
official.
Yeah.
yes.
But don't you give out extensions for meals tax?
No.
You don't know
They
extensions?
stay in the collection process until it's paid. They're welcome to sign a payment agreement because that helps the collection
a question.
process if they do default on it,
I'll get to you.
but it stays in the collection process until it's paid.
just point out to you guys in addition, any time limit you put on there is null and void if the judge determines something
Absolutely.
different. If he accepts payment of plans or payment agreements, or as he did with
Right.
Candy.
Yeah, the
I mean, we
judge
just
can
gotta
issue a
follow
payment
that.
agreement, yeah,
Okay, but we're not.
but we do
We're
not.
not. Okay. Mr. Page,
So it's good that we actually, this is the first time I've seen this. So after the account, and I have a couple questions if you don't mind. After the account is assessed and notice is sent to the business owner, the amount due, that's how much longer until you get, how much time do you give them? I don't see a time here to give them to pay it.
So it depends on if I send the letter on a Friday. So are you talking about where it says payment not received within 3 days?
Right. Then you
5
send,
days of notice?
then you assess the account, you send them a notice.
If it's not paid immediately, I mean, within
Immediate.
5 business days.
So I think,
They
I
usually
think,
send a certified, hand-delivered, and regular mail.
I think this needs to say if not paid within 5 business days.
That's fine.
And then the other question is, this is a process that we've always followed? So after the 5 business,
Since we've been doing our collections well, and it's been probably in the
Yeah.
past 2 or 3 years, we've really been doing much better.
so in 2022, this is the process that we followed when this account went behind?
Send notices.
How come,
Well, we didn't hire tax until last year.
well, I get that, so
Yeah.
if you took tax off of here, it would be to do a charge, so why wasn't she charged back then? Why is it put on us now, 2 years later? I mean, if this is the policy we follow. Just
well, I
wanna-
think we've dispatched, I'm not trying to be
Absolutely.
adversary to you, but we talking
Dispatched
about
it.
water over the dam. We're
But
talking about
no,
going
no, we're
forward.
not, because we're about to put in a policy in place that says this is what we do, and it's already something that we followed, and it wasn't done then.
So she went into collections in
What's gonna
2020.
change?
She went into collections in 2023. So we did the bank liens, we tried to seize the equipment, and then you guys started with the charge. So we did.
We
So she
centered, we
went-
centered the collections when it came to us, but this was
In
already
2020.
delinquent by almost 6 months when
But I
we
think
came in the
Phil just
office.
But I
she
didn't
was
have
on-
an attorney.
She was on payment plan, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you just said?
With the town?
With the town, but didn't
It
We
defaulted.
just washed off. Y'all just voted to wash
The
it off.
questions
That's what
were
I'm
to
saying.
see,
Why are we
I
bringing it
understand
back
what
up?
Chris- I understand what Chris is saying is how did we get to that point? And I mean, I think it's been mentioned and brushed by before, but I can tell you, the previous council and the 8 members up here, there was enough sway to where it kind of got washed over. I don't want to name names or anything, but
That's right.
I think that's what happened.
That's what happened.
that's where,
I think that's what, and I understand what you're saying, Chris. Is why
question
did we
is-
get to that?
and how do we
I don't
not
think
get there
that should-
again with the same policy?
What we're doing
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah, yeah.
What we're doing tonight. That's
I know
how
where
we
you're
don't
getting
get there.
at, but I think it's just because of the previous. And I was on that. Miller was on it.
I was on the.
Yeah,
I'll
it
tell you,
happened.
it was a no win.
Can we move forward in 2024?
Yeah.
Stop going back to 22 and 23?
I'll second that.
And so we can get
I
this
third it.
order, policy, and
Well,
we
we're
can
getting
move
ready to do
forward.
that.
need
We're
to
getting
go
ready to do
backwards.
that.
So let's go forward, guys.
What I'm hearing is on the 20th of the month, the taxes are
Dealing with an
due.
issue from 2020.
And then, if what I'm reading here is if you don't get a payment on the 20th, the next business day, you're starting, the payment is submitted to the 15 days.
And I
okay?
discussed this with tax to be sure it was a
Okay.
good process, and they agreed.
And then, so it's all spelled out here, what needs to be changed? Is any members,
He said to add in
The
where
5
it's-
days.
the 5 days where it says payment not received within 3 to 5 days of notice, account is statutory assessed.
Yeah, I don't like the. I understand what you're saying. Where if it falls on a weekend, but make
Right.
it a definitive.
That's fine.
If it's
We can
5
do
days,
5 days.
You
Yeah.
can say 5 working days.
Yeah,
Say 5 business days.
yeah.
No, I'm talking about the next step, yes,
So you want
If
the
it's-
5 business days in there? Is that what you're saying?
on the fourth bullet, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth
Yeah.
bullet point, on the 5th bullet point, yeah.
Statutory.
If not paid in 5 business days, then tax, but here's the question, you send it to tax, how long does it stay in tax before you file charge? That's not in here.
So what we'll do is we'll typically see if they own the equipment in the restaurant. We'll try that step first to seize the equipment so we can get the profit from that. Or if we have access to their bank account, the business or personal bank account, we can try a bank lien. And I think those are really the only 2 ways you can collect.
So 45 days?
A bank typically has 14 days. It depends on how many bank accounts they have and when the bank gets back to you, but you have to give at least 14 days for the bank lien.
But as far as taking out criminal charges, keep in mind, we're gonna meet with the council before we do so, to let you guys know what's going on.
I have a question. I would like to see added, we can discuss it, we may not have to add it, but I would like to see added somewhere in here that when someone is delinquent, that someone other than the treasury department know about it. The mayor will know about it, the manager, the mayor. So when it get here, it won't be all of these months. So we can say with Brittany, who did you tell? So you can have a backup.
Okay.
And that way, we'll know that's going through the steps versus getting 3 months later and nobody knew.
Okay.
And then we're in the same predicament.
I think Brittany does provide a meals tax item in your agenda, but it doesn't give a lot of detail. And it's probably intentional not to give out names or amount.
I'll just put like
You
number
guys need to
delinquent.
know. We don't need to know so I can say, hey, Philip, are you aware of this? What have you done? What measures have you taken? And then you can say, I did X, Y, and Z, and we can move forward.
Okay.
well, I think that whole page is a waste of paper and a waste of time. If, but putting on there, you don't know who it is, you don't know any circumstances, they're later than not, you
Oh,
have
yeah.
one, okay, so what I'm gonna ask you to do from now on is I want that statement to be public. When you have any, if, McDonald's pays like clockwork, they got their mess together. I don't need to know about that.
Right.
But if you're at any stage, I think Mr. Gormas wanted this, at any stage of other than perfect, then I'd like a report monthly. Okay?
And you want the business name?
Yes, I do.
And for the council pack information.
Yes, I
Okay.
want the council to know exactly what they're dealing with.
Philip, is
Okay.
that doable? Wasn't there something about it may be protected?
I don't know if the name is necessarily protected, but I'm certain
The amount.
details about the gross sales.
The
are
amount
protected.
due, yeah.
I'm sure that's sort
But
of.
the amount owed wouldn't be,
Which
right?
I wouldn't have that anyway if they didn't
I
pay
don't
it.
care about the amount owed.
Yeah.
I don't care about that because that's your problem. I just wanna know at what stage and what problem do you have?
Okay.
And I think the council needs, and the reason I'm asked, this is a little bit of a hyped up request, but because I think the 8 of us on this dais does not want to ever have to have this discussion
Yeah,
again.
that's fine.
So this would keep
You
us
can
in
put
the
the
loop.
name and where they're at in the collection process.
This would keep us in the loop. How many problems you got? what we can be expecting, and then, you know, if it would be something that maybe Philip wants to talk to me about, and I need to make phone calls.
Okay.
Or I need to have a meeting.
Yeah, just put.
Is that agreeable to everyone?
Yeah, whatever, where they're at in the process.
Mr. Gormas, does that help you?
Do we want
So,
to put a number of days between start to criminal charges?
yeah, we need to.
From TAC to criminal, that's what I'm about to say. I mean, it could sit in TAC for 10 months again, you know, I mean, 45 days, that gives them time to file paperwork and get liens and stuff.
We will provide to you guys at the next council meeting. The next council meeting in closed session will discuss the proceeding,
How,
not to proceed with criminal charges.
how will the research be done regarding equipment and things besides Facebook postings?
Well, I don't know, we've never done it before, other than.
Yeah, that's why I'm
So,
asking.
I'm not an expert in such things, but we'll certainly find out what tax recommends. Okay.
All right, I'm getting a little leery of the comments, okay? You about to disrupt this meeting, and then that's what I got a problem.
I would advocate for 60 days.
Well, like Philip though said, it's gonna be
Sam, I'm
difficult
getting a little,
to put a total deadline.
I got my
on there
radar
because of
up here
the
now.
fact That the judge may come up and say, all right, well, they get payments. I don't know, it's
Yeah.
gonna be hard.
You
to
never
do
know what
that.
they're gonna decide.
But I do
I know
think,
Farmville does it in 45, so I don't know. They send the collections and then 45 days they charge. I'm not sure.
I would like to see if the judge, if they're gonna say something different what we're saying, just let us know.
Yeah,
So we won't keep going on and on.
right.
We know that the judge is involved in it, and we're gonna let them deal with it, but we'll still be in the know.
well, maybe ask tax and say, hey,
We need to,
what do
we
you want us to
need
put
adopt
on that
this.
number 5?
Yeah.
I'll put the motion on.
Okay.
the floor.
They have told me if the bank lien doesn't go through and you can't seize equipment, you can criminally charge right after that. But they always say try those steps first, obviously.
Is that just a recommendation to try the steps first? Cause isn't it two separate courts, civil versus criminal?
Yeah.
If you
Is it
remember
really
during
two
the,
separate courts, two
during the
separate-
process with Candy, they recommended we not
That's what I was doing.
parallel with criminal and civil at the same time. Exhaust the civil and then go to the criminal is their recommendation. They'd had cases in the past, and Tina Golden met with us. Tina Golden is one of their, I guess, attorneys or collection experts. And they've had other cases where the criminal was dropped because the judge in that particular instance declared tax. Criminal is not a collection process. That is not for collection.
You have to exhaust all other options first.
So,
Exhaust everything.
I wanna make sure everybody's on the same page, okay? What I'm hearing the manager say is that tax, which is what they do, they have recommended that we don't pursue the criminal until we get the collection process
Until
out
the
of the way.
exhaustion of the collection.
But what I do have a problem with is if you have someone commit 9 misdemeanors, that they pay the bill and then we don't prosecute. I've got a problem with it. Because otherwise, don't have it as a misdemeanor.
How about you separate 5 and create a 6th step, which would be straight up just criminally charged, separate that, so it's another step.
No,
It's
that's
the
what we
6th
need to
step.
get to, because I think Mr. Miller's ready to make a motion to adopt this, but we need, how are we gonna do the criminal?
I would ask.
Help me frame this, okay? How are we gonna do the criminal?
I would use taxes advice, but before we take any criminal charges out, we will come to you and let you guys know if you have an issue or a problem, and then there'll be a motion made after closed session. Instead of, I don't remember being in closed session, or we didn't talk about that, we'll have a motion, criminally
I got you.
prosecute or not criminally prosecute.
And I
And,
also
we'll do
think
that.
when I come to the council meeting each month, you'll have it in your packet of what step we're on. So obviously, if we've already done bank lien, seize equipment, all the collection tools, we know, okay, it's time to prosecute.
I just wanna make sure, I'm gonna give the floor to Mr. Page here momentarily. Just wanna make sure, I want this done tonight. And the reason that I wanna put it off is because I can already see our 29th meeting, or 22nd, it's gonna be busy. So what you're saying is we adopt this, and then you will come to the council on a case-by-case about criminal.
I mean, you guys, do you seriously want us filing criminal charges against people and y'all don't know about it?
No.
It happens every day. I mean, in Richmond, there's no way that the mayor or council knows everything they
In
charge.
Blackstone.
I'm just saying, there's no
Blackstone, Do
way.
you want us to do that? If you tell us we don't wanna know about it, ain't no
The
problem. We'll go
discretion,
ahead
and it's even worse when it's in a small town, because the discretion shouldn't be on staff or on council. It should be written and codified in code where it's automatic.
You tell me what you wanna do, and I'm fine with whatever you
Because
decide.
then
There's no
you get
dispute.
into a situation where one person gets charged and another doesn't.
You make a great point, but
Yeah.
but I think to start off, I would recommend that you would adopt this policy, that the manager brings to the council the criminal aspect of of each case. And then we
I'd
just.
like to, that'd be my
Okay.
preference.
That's what I'm asking, Mr. Miller, is that,
Yeah.
you understand what I'm saying?
I make a motion that we accept this, collection process as written, subject to corrections.
Can I talk or do we gonna wait?
No,
for a second?
you have a substitute
second.
motion?
I do not have a substitute motion,
Okay.
however, I will say that because I don't think this is time sensitive, I don't really feel comfortable voting on it in a special meeting, so way we can put it on the docket for the next one. I think we're probably legal and in the clear with the advertisement that was put out, but I'd like for the public to be able to speak on it at a regularly scheduled meeting. I don't think anybody will, but
I actually like to handle it at the work session.
you can say, Miller?
Okay, I'll
I
go,
would like to take care of this tonight.
I wanna take care of this now.
Keep putting it on.
We'll
Keep
take
putting
it,
it
ain't no
off.
need
Do
to
it
keep on
tonight,
putting it
get
off.
over with.
All right, so
Take
what
care of this now.
your motion is for what's
To
here
adopt this, subject to
with
correction.
subject to the additions.
Add the
Right.
5 days
And
and
what
the
about
6
the
step.
criminal? The criminal cases will be evaluated by the council on a
Right.
case-by-case
Case
basis.
basis.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Williams, second. Is there any discussion?
I cannot vote for I mean, this policy's good. But I can't vote for a policy that leaves criminal charges open for discretion because it leaves it to where, I don't know if anybody's went down to the courthouse, but I have. And I read Miss Early's, 3 fairly thick files of her lawsuit, and that was one of the main contentions of it. Certain people getting charged and certain people not. I'm not gonna put my name on that. I think that we have to come up with a policy that makes it automatic and takes the discretion off our staff and off of our council, and that it's codified that this is how it flows.
Okay,
So I can't vote for it.
okay. You did a
I'm
great
good with the
job
rest of it.
presenting that. Is there any other discussion? I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Miller.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-2. Did you want to talk about, utility extensions next?
I think that was one of the discussions as we're trying to codify things. We have a very liberal policy that town council adopted in 2019 in regard to payment agreements and extensions. I think so.
Payment agreement.
policy.
The payment agreement is the one, this is one,
Did I take the wrong one?
No,
You
so
have
these 2.
2 handouts, one, and Brittany prepared these, it's, right now, adopted on March 18th, 2019, town council adopted a policy whereby they can, a utility customer can have 3 payment agreements in a 12-month period. In addition, they can have 2 10-day extensions for a consumer in a 12-month period. So basically 5 allowances during the course of the year to either, stretch out payments or to have a payment agreement to stretch it out.
It's basically
for
5
longer term.
extensions, yeah.
As we're codifying things, and this was adopted by the town council in 2019, and my question is, do you guys still agree with the 5? I want to address all the collection issues that we had, and this is pretty odious for the staff to keep up with them. As we're looking at cash issues with the town, I've discussed this with the mayor a little bit. Our cash position is not as good. You've still got reserve funds and CDs and stuff like that, but our actual cash flow on a monthly basis, what comes in and what goes out for bills, for operation, payroll, any of those kinds of things, the cash is not where it has been, okay? In fact, we didn't finish paying all of our bills this last month until yesterday. The 9th was when we actually got into the black during the course of the month. As you know, the utilities are the vast majority of what we do, millions of dollars in collections. And I'd like for you to let me know if you're satisfied with the number of extensions and payment agreements that are given out during the course of the year. If you are, great. If you are not, or you think they're too many, whether you resolve it tonight or not, there is also a handout showing you comparisons of what other power companies do. Town of Crew is included. They don't have power, so the bills are much smaller, just water and sewer bills. So I would assume they're at or about $50 to $100 a month for the average household.
I'm gonna plead ignorance because I don't understand the difference in an extension and a payment plan and how one feeds into the other or
An
vice
extension
versa.
is somebody
And I
comes
was hoping
in.
somebody could talk through one from this much is due, then this happens, then this happens. And
Yep.
but for some,
I can do it.
That's what we're here for.
So,
That's what I want.
So Ashley mails the bills out the first of every month, or the last business day of each month. So say she mailed out December 31st.
If you don't mind,
Yeah.
the only two people were on this council was President Nash and myself. I want to give this council a little bit of backstory.
Sure.
So there was a lot of talk about having payment plans, extensions, and this kind of stuff, and so we were already 30 days after you use the power, you get a bill, and we've already paid for it. But we were already there. Then we added another 15 days, and then that, if you recall, Mr. Nash, that was to keep from having so many extensions and blah blah blah. Okay, so how many days are you floating money?
For example,
hundreds of thousands of dollars you're floating.
but if you think about it, you hope your 12 months you reconcile and you get everything, everybody pays. But if you you set up an account and you open that account, start buying utilities on January 1st, I'm just using that as an example. Your meter is gonna be read about February 3rd, okay? On or about the 3rd of the month. Much quicker than it used to be because we're not doing as many manual readings. So on or about the 3rd of the month, we're gonna read your meter. You will receive a bill for January 1st to February 1st with a February 3rd meter reading, so approximately a month, the following month. So that would be the end of February, you would get a bill for that January, February usage, okay? Then you have 30 days before it's delinquent, that's March 30th, and then before cutoff, you still have another 15 days. So April 15th, if you consume electricity on January 1st, you don't get cut off for it until April 15th.
Good God.
Yeah, so we float a tremendous amount of money every month. Now,
Then if you get a payment agreement,
and then if you get a payment agreement.
you have until
so
May
that-
5th.
That consumption could be 6, 8, 10 months old. That's why I bring it to you, that these are causing, in part, some of the cash issues.
That's got to. That's crazy.
How many payment plans are we going through?
A year?
Yeah, like.
We get probably 20 a month.
How much cash is it?
It,
I mean,
It
if we're
obviously
gonna
varies.
say
$300,
$300,
I have no idea. There's no way to know because some people's bills are $900 and some of them are $75. So I don't. It depends on the time of year, I guess.
About a 20 payment plan, we're probably talking about 6 to 8 grand.
Probably, maybe.
Necessarily point at that as our cash issues.
I got several questions, if you don't mind.
Over a series of months, though.
I have a few questions, if you don't mind. Number one, I see this was adopted in 2019, but I remember sitting right there in that chair November of 2022, right before we came into office. This policy was brought up to give 5 extensions, and a vote was taken and passed.
I think
Is
the
this the
5 are
newest version?
The payment agreements and the extensions combined.
Yeah,
Where
that's
you
the
combine
five.
it.
Yes.
So this isn't the newest policy, but it's still about the same.
It's the same,
It's about
yeah,
the same.
the
Okay, that's
same,
my
yep.
first question I wanted to clear up. Number 2, I see that the town is already pretty much more stringent than other suppliers. Southside Electric, we're more stringent than them, where there's no limit on extensions. They can ask for a 4-day extension. They can ask for more. Don't grant after the next billing due date though, but no limit on extensions. Disconnect notice is on their next bill, and they have until the next bill to pay, which is well beyond 4 days. It's 34, even more, maybe up to 60 days extension. Dominion Energy has a payment agreement, 50% of the total balance. They have short-term payment agreements where customers have until their next bill comes out to pay the past due balance. And they have 5 days from the next billing date to pay before disconnection occurs. It looks like we're already concerned. Is payment extensions and utilities just part of the cost of doing business? And we're only offering 5, and we're already strenuous on it.
Yeah, but a 15-day extension versus a 4-day extension is,
Right, but they have unlimited 4-day extensions.
so
They
you
can,
could get,
you can get,
That's what council did when we gave them, we added the 15 days. You know, we've already done it once. We've added 15 days. And that's far better than the 4 days you can get, because there's 15 days baked in. Am I correct? Isn't that what
think
Mr.
it's
Moncur and I put
It used
together?
to be 15 days.
yeah.
and with, even with Southsides, it's only 48 days if you.
Well, I mean, paying utility bills is part of the cost of using utilities.
It is, but
They have a
it's
total of
also,
45 days to pay now.
it's
So you-
also
I mean, that's the same. man.
how
5 months,
businesses run though,
January.
you know, I mean. And then the other thing is I see a proposed policy here. And I don't have a problem with proposed policy, and I don't really have too much of a problem with what's being proposed. I think 2 is a little low on a 7-day extension. We could talk about that. My problem is this. Has anybody else seen this proposal before right now?
No, we don't have to vote on this tonight. I think.
It's my first time seeing it, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
I think the meals tax was screaming to get taken care of tonight. I have no problem, but what I'd like to do is to have the appropriate conversation and give everybody a chance to go home and think about it, or call a manager, or whatever you need to do, and we vote on it on the 22nd. I agree, I was gonna recommend not to have a vote tonight on this.
Okay, but it's one more thing we talked about also. Now, if you get some people gonna get, we talked about this, like if you get a real high bill, like $800 or something, you know.
If it's as a result of a leak.
Probably,
Right.
yeah, we talked about that. So then there's a provision for
Williams.
that.
I don't see anything wrong with this policy. I think it's wonderful, and I think you're working with our citizens, because I know some, individual whose light bill was $800 and $900 in my ward, even before I came to council, and they could not pay the bill. And you guys worked with them, and they paid it, and everybody was happy, because we don't want to see anybody disconnected, if we can, as long as they're working with you. And I know that for a fact, that some people in my ward, light bill was high, and was nothing that the town was doing,
That was
it was their
the
meter.
purpose of the policy that was adopted, because I think there was dissatisfaction with
I know.
council because we were helping folks.
Even if we don't change it, I'd like to consolidate it so we're not having like a payment agreement and extension, because it's the same
Right.
thing. If it could all just be called, even if y'all keep 5, that's fine, but we're doing like 3 cutoff days a month right now.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
it's
cutting
just-
off for cutoff
See
day.
five. I can't see 5.
Huh?
I can't see 5.
Well, you get 3 and 2, same thing.
And
No.
you have until the 5th of the month to pay a bill from, so, in January, someone who got a payment agreement that is due on January 5th is paying their bill from November. So, they get the payment agreement, they pay it on the 5th, but in 10 days, they have another bill that's due, or they're gonna be disconnected again. And I think it does help to a certain extent, but then it doesn't, because another 10 days goes by. So a $800 bill has to be paid on the 5th, and then in 10 more days, say their bill is another $300 that they're gonna have to pay, or they're gonna be disconnected otherwise. That's the problem that I see a lot, that people are getting these 15-day extensions or payment agreements, and then it helps them for that bill, but then in 10 days, they have another bill that's due. And that's where a hiccup comes, where they don't understand, because they just paid a bill, but they're not understanding.
They're not carrying.
Yeah, it's kind of just carrying over, so it's like bills and bills and bills back to back.
It's just waiting for a calamity almost. It's like D-Day.
Getting caught in
But
the
you know, I've
cycle.
always, I've always said that ever since I've been on council. I've always said
And
that.
they're gonna run out, and to the point where they're
Who get cut off?
Right.
gonna get cut off.
Can I appreciate what you said, I just want some clarification. Is a payment agreement and extension the same
Same thing.
animal?
Same thing.
It's the same.
Okay, well, let's just, can we agree to call it one thing?
If we can, I'm fine with keeping it at 5, but I think it needs to be either 10-day or 15-day.
Just an extension.
I mean, a payment agreement.
But if you're gonna do, if you give them 5, that's half the year, you might as well just
They are the same.
pay it whenever you
I
want
don't
to.
know why they're
I
called 2
mean,
different things.
I just don't understand 5.
We don't do
5,
anything different for
I
either
thought
of them.
payment agreements where you broke it up into
We
smaller
don't do
chunks
that.
and
No.
then-
It's a
Oh.
15-day
The
payment
only
agreement.
difference is
They sign it.
the time frame. So
Yeah.
an extension, you have 10 days, payment agreement, you have 15.
Oh, well.
Yes, yes, ma'am, Ms.
If I have a
Williams.
$900 light bill, help me to understand this.
Mm-hmm.
If I come up here for a payment agreement, I have 15 days to pay off $900.
You have 15 extra days, so you have the 45 days, and then we add on an additional 15.
So you technically would have 60 days.
We don't have any type of policy in place to break it up in increments unless it's a water leak.
That's just something.
Is
yeah,
that realistic?
water leak.
Was that really realistic for a working person? If my light bill is 900, I'm just asking a
Yeah.
question. If I come up here and needed some assistance,
Yeah.
and you're gonna give me 15 days?
Per our
to pay off-
policy, yeah.
Pay $900
I can't
off?
change, I
But
can't.
5 times.
Yeah, 5
So-
times.
It can continue and continue.
I'm gonna pay this $900 off, and that's gonna take me more than 15 days. And then after I do that one, I'm gonna come back again, because I'm either gonna have to pay my light bill, my rent, feed my kids, or whatever. So,
I think the problem is we don't really have
Yeah.
an option to give them. If they have a $900 light bill, these are the 2 policies we have to go by. We don't have unless you guys adopt another option.
I thought the extension was, for example, if my light bill was $900 last month, it's $200 this month. I would pay my $200, and for that 900, we would spread it out like $2 extra $100.
Because it's only a 10-day extension.
Okay, that's what I thought. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
So-
You're helping me.
So so just to clarify, if I have a problem in, hard time in March, June, August, September, and October, and I did my 7-day, these 2 extensions and then the 3 payment agreements. And then December hits and it's a brutally cold winter and my power bill comes in $980. And I just working paycheck to paycheck and I just can't pay it. I come to you, I've used my 5 extensions. The next day is disconnection day. My bill's $989. I've been trying to communicate with you that I can't pay it. What happens when I walk in
That
your
comes
office?
into play, do we stick to the policies or do we not?
And what do we do right now?
I stick to the policies,
So we shut them off.
yes.
Excellent.
But if you guys don't want us to stick to the policies, then yeah, I'd be happy to help
Right.
somebody.
I think we just need to redo the policy.
I think the policies were put in place because we were helping folks. We were saying.
We
give
were
us
telling
half
everybody yes
and
all the time.
Give us half the
Yeah.
bill and we'll give you 10 days of what, it wasn't codified. And we're doing it all the time. I can tell you, I pay people's light bill. But there wanted to be some codification of it. So we
Could I-
codified it now, and if you're satisfied with that, we'll continue with it. If you'd like to modify
Well,
it.
could you, go ahead.
I understand we're not voting on this tonight, but it seems like, I think, if you guys are having trouble in the office and we're having cash flow problems over it, then we probably do need to look at it. If payment agreements and extensions are essentially the same thing, just a time.
I think we
period
just need to
thing.
call it,
Be combined.
and it needs to either be 10 days or 15 days, because right now we're having 3 cutoffs a month, 3 disconnect days. We're cutting off on regular cutoff day, then we're cutting off when extensions are due, and then we're doing another cutoff day when payment agreements are due. And it's a lot for the electric department and us to do 3 cutoff days a month.
And I do think 15 days is a little long because you're getting so close to the next bill. And just throwing this out there, I'd advocate for two 10-day extensions per year, and then an actual payment agreement where we can talk about whatever that means. But in my mind, it would be if your bill is 100% over your last bill or more, then you qualify for
If we
the bill
can.
being broken down into the next 3 bills.
If we
Something
can,
like that.
one thing that would be helpful to us is to get the folks to pay, like Dominion, half the bill. If you're gonna do these kinds of things, that would keep us from having more mounting collections. And so that would get you back to paying your standard bill or your average bill, which you should have budgeted, and then be able to work with the folks on the difference.
So let me ask you this, if the bill's $500 and they want an extension, they have to pay you $250 to get the
I would like
extension. Is
something
that,
like
is that what
that,
you're saying?
if y'all can
Look, I'm just trying to make sure, you know,
That's just something I've asked you guys in reading Dominion.
I got you.
That's what we did for years. You bring us half and we'll work with you on the other half. And invariably, everybody brings you half,
Okay,
because they don't want the power cut off.
all right.
I would like to reduce the amount of delinquencies or the number of uncollected utility bills. You do have. That would be
So
all.
I'm gonna give the floor to Mr. Page in just a second here, but hold on just a minute, Mr. Alman. What I'd like to do is get enough information from the council tonight to propose a new policy for the 22nd. Is that agreeable?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Page.
I have a question. You say you get about 20 a month that ask for an extension or whatnot, right? Out of those 20, do we have a percentage of how many are paying and how many are being disconnected? I mean,
It really just depends on the month. I hate to say it, but there's no, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 2.
so we have no data. So
I'm gonna guess the higher the bills, the colder it is.
Yeah, the higher the bills, the more we
they-
cut off.
They get cut.
Yeah. And sometimes a lot of people move. So they'll get a payment agreement for 15 days and they're like, well, I'm moving out on the 1st and we never see them again.
we keep
So we'll
their-
go to cut them off and the guys will come back and be like, all their stuff's gone. They're gone.
That's the point about them paying.
But the person doesn't still owe you money?
Yeah, they do. It'll go through the collection process
And we take their
put 'em in
security
arms
deposit,
and-
right? We take their security deposit,
if
right?
they have one. Yep.
Okay, and then we go through TAC on those things, right?
So with the utilities, we don't use tax. We take their security deposit. If there's anything left, they go in something called ERMS, where we can get their tax return, their state tax return. And then if that doesn't work, we'll put a garnishment on their paycheck.
Maybe I would be more inclined to sticking with I mean, just my opinion. If you said you wanted to feel how council would do it,
Yeah.
I would be more inclined to doing the three 10-day extensions instead of 2, and then after that, it's a 50%, you have to pay 50% to get another 10-day extension. That would be my,
But where would you put the cap? So if you did, are you saying to give 3 10-day extensions a
a
year?
year. And then after that, it's 50% to get a 10-day extension, yeah. And being that the,
Additional beyond the 3.
beyond the three,
Can
beyond
it
the
be
three.
unlimited?
But I'm looking at other providers and no other providers have a
No,
cap.
No,
Hell no.
No other providers have a cap on extensions.
we're not talking, we're not talking about other providers, we're talking about
We
right here.
digging ourselves deeper.
So,
I think,
go ahead, Mr. Holman.
again, I think two 10-day extensions, and then we create a payment, an actual payment plan that can help people, like Ms. Williams was saying, on the high bills.
Okay,
50% payment due up front on the high bill, and then the rest of that payment be broken up into the next 3 bills. So we have an actual policy for those high bills where we don't have them come to council.
And I think it should be over a certain amount. What is considered a high bill? Because what I consider a high bill, Ms. Williams may not consider a high bill. I think it needs to be a dollar amount.
I think 100% more than the previous bill. So if your
Okay.
typical
Bill-
power
if
bill is
your bill was
150
$200,
bucks, and
okay.
your next bill is $301,
300, yeah.
you would qualify.
Qualify.
okay.
We can go up with that.
Keep
percentage
polishing
if
it
you
and
want.
working on it.
I just wanna make one thing clear, okay? So as soon as you finish with your input, I'm gonna start down here, Mr. Gormas can come this way. Mr. Page, if you need to augment whatever you said. So what I'm hearing is two extensions. Let's don't say payment plan anymore,
No.
cause it's not a payment plan,
No,
it's
it's not.
it's an
It's an
extension.
extension,
Two
yeah.
10-day extensions.
Two
and then-
10-day extensions,
and
and
the
then
second
if it's
thing would be an actual payment plan.
a payment plan for any bill that's 100%
Over
higher.
the previous bill.
Okay,
Broken
okay.
up over the next 3 consecutive months with
Okay.
50% due up front.
okay. You got that?
50% due up front with each 10-day extension?
Just the
no,
payment
nothing to do with
agreement?
the extension, just on the payment agreement. So if your bill is $300 and you want to break it up over the next 3 months, and your normal bill is 150, so you qualify. That's 100% over your previous
After
bill.
your first 2 extensions.
If you want,
No,
you can take the extension. You don't have to take them. If you come in and you bring $150, then you get that next $150 that you owe on the bill broken up in addition on the next couple months.
So if you,
So
let
it'll
me
be
see
$50
if I'm making
for
sure
the
I
next 3
understand
months,
this.
Yes.
plus your regular bill.
Your normal bill is $200 every month. It comes in at $405. Then you would qualify to pay the $202.50, and then you
Other
could
200.
go three equal payments of, what would that be, $68, something like that?
Yeah,
Or whatever the math
Friday.
is, to
Considering
catch up.
all that's involved in this, is that, I mean, I can meet before the 22nd, if you want, the Health and Ordinance Committee to meet and try to fine tune something that would.
Well, I'm gonna hear it from every one of y'all.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
think
mean, I'm
this
with you.
is, it's at the council level
Payment
now.
agreement, 1 a year.
Well, no, yeah.
So the payment agreement would be once a year.
Payment agreement 1 a year, and the extensions twice a year, 2 10 days.
Right, you've heard
And we
you've
need to
heard
come up with
that.
a date that the
Okay.
extension's
And-
due,
and
so.
you're
any-
next.
The 15th, so it'd be the 25th, 10 days.
You're saying one extension,
Two
Two.
extensions.
two extensions,
10 days,
right?
and 1 payment agreement.
One payment agreement, okay?
And this extension and payment plan, this stuff is history.
Yes.
We're gonna rewrite it and present it at the
Rewrite it.
next meeting.
I think we should definitely think about it, and we
Yes,
need to meet.
and as soon as they get it written, we'll email it to you, okay?
Okay.
You have
Yeah,
plenty of
I
time,
think it's fair enough compromise.
all right? Ms. Nguyen? All right, Mr. Page, you have anything to add?
Yeah, so I don't know if some people on this council may know, but the rest of the state that is not a municipal utility, whoever's not, has to run these policies by a state agency. There's certain days that you can cut off, certain times, certain amount of notices. And we're sitting here comparing ourselves to other people who are not allowed to do it. And just because somebody lives in the town of Blackstone, I think this kind of discourages people from moving here.
Well, they can move.
Well, you know,
I
Mr.
don't
Gormas,
see
I didn't
I don't
interrupt
see
you.
how not,
Hey, point of order.
that's
Point of
gonna
order.
discourage,
Point of order. I had the floor. You gave me the floor. I didn't interrupt him. If you don't like the argument, let me finish it and then you can reply. I'm in the middle of talking.
all right,
The fact of the matter
I'll
is,
do the policing, okay?
well,
All right, I-
can we do it, please?
You have the floor.
Thank you. The fact of the matter that we could just out of nowhere, after we just passed a policy, turn around and change it on our people without notice. And 90% of people live in Virginia are allowed to get a power extension. Plain and simple. You're gonna take that away and give it to them twice a year?
Well, Mr. Page,
The
let me,
people,
let me
we are
cut
in
you
one
off
of the
just a
poorest
second.
counties in this
I'm gonna let you
state.
finish, but, it's my intention to get this policy to y'all and get feedback and to conduct a public hearing before you do this.
All right.
Okay? That is my
Sure
intention.
that'll go well.
All right? Well, that wasn't necessary. Go ahead, Ms. Williams. You have any comments?
Yeah, I like that we're discussing it, we're not changing anything, we're just discussing and recommending.
Okay.
I still like the 15-day payment, because I know a lot of people who cannot afford to pay that. And I do agree with, having a certain price. I think, to me, $250 is too low, cause that's really not a hardship.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
We have
It needs
bills
to
that
be
are
at
like
least-
900.
It needs to be like $500 to $600.
Yeah.
Because
I
really,
agree.
we can pay a $250 light bill. Because if you give me that chance, I'm gonna do it every month.
Right.
So it needs to be a little bit higher.
Like
That's
anything
what I
over
think.
500.
Yeah.
You're talking about on the payment agreement?
On the payment agreement, because $250 is too low. That's what I
We
think.
can-
Because that's like a normal bill in
I think we need to-
Blackstone.
I think whatever we do, we need to
250.
do it by probably a percentage.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the 100% is a problem, but let's say.
What is considered a
it's
high
gotta be a
bill?
$500 bill. A $500 bill to
Well,
qualify.
it just depends. If you're living in an apartment, your normal bill's $50, and then you get a $251. That's a pretty big change in limit. When my normal bill is, I think, $180. So like, the reason I try to do it by percentage is so that people living in different.
She just doesn't wanna do it, am I right?
we
You don't
can-
wanna
we
do it
can
for
go
$100
up.
bucks.
I don't wanna do it for $250, then you just be paying $100, because we are gonna be losing. Like I said, I get a lot of complaints, even before I got on town council. People were always fussing about that light bill.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give somebody a $250 opportunity, they always gonna be making agreements.
Yeah.
So we need to have it set a little bit higher. That's what I think.
It's
But it's open
$500,
for discussion. You don't have to do
$500,
five, but
$500
Like a minimum.
minimum sound reasonable? I understand what she's saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. We can
Okay.
put $5
It'll be something that will be
All right.
discussed when we get ready to
Yeah.
discuss it.
Any other comments, Ms. Williams? You have all you want, but does that pretty much sum it up for you?
and I want to continue to work with the citizens as much as we can, because if my light bill get $900, hopefully y'all will work with me.
Yeah.
Well, this is only gonna work with them twice a year though.
Well, I can need it for December, so.
My lord.
Three.
I like the 310
Alright.
day. That's
I'm
what I
sorry,
like,
3.
but it's whatever
So
we
that would
decide
only
as
be
a
one
group.
less than what we have now, because if you get 3 10-day and a payment agreement, and we have
Oh, we
5
don't
now,
talk
it
about
only
no
go to
payment
4.
agreements no more.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Miller, what do you think about this?
I agree with Ms. Williams. The only thing I don't agree, I say 2. That's what I'm saying, 2.
Two.
I agree with
Can you
everything
live
she
with two?
said, but
I
I
can live with 2.
Live with
I
2.
said 2.
All right, but the rest of it, you like everything you
I
heard.
like everything else.
Did you get enough of it? Thank God you got it on tape, so you can figure this out.
Yeah,
And
good thing you're
here's
not
what I'd
changing
like
it
to do,
tonight.
council, and please interrupt me. Tell me if it's not what you wish. I would like for you to get us a policy
Mm-hmm.
that everybody can say grace over. If you don't hear anybody screaming and cussing, then I would like for you to advertise for a public hearing. We're not obligated to do so, so just one advertisement. You should be able to. We should be able to take this up on the 22nd.
President Nash didn't have a chance to.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, ultimately, I think all of it puts the customer in a bind, no matter what the extension is, because
Yeah.
ultimately, that final payday is coming.
We've had customers tell us, I wish I wouldn't have signed this. I wish I
mean,
would have just paid
we
it.
used to have the payment
But that doesn't
agreement.
work for everybody. It may
Right.
be different for other
And we
people.
used to have a running law, or the budget billing, excuse me, where
Train wreck.
it was a train wreck.
Oh, yeah.
I just worry that, it's already an issue. Ultimately, it just creates, it's a snowball effect
Yeah.
until it gets to be a huge bill, and then guess what? Nobody can pay it, and then they're gone.
And if you,
May I interject something?
Absolutely.
All of this is good discussion, but all of it is a moot point. If a particular piece of legislation passes through the General Assembly, which will require all utilities, including municipals, not just those governed by the State Corporation Commission, to have to wait 3 delinquent light bills of no payment whatsoever before cutoff can happen, and that, if approved, is devastating for us.
Oh,
We will not be able to function electric, but that's what the General Assembly is going to be debating. There has been a bill that Gina is vehemently opposing, because we're not Dominion. We don't have $1 billion in the bank. We're not Southside. We don't have the resources they have. We pay our bills every month. And this month, we didn't pay our bills until the 9th of the following month. You've got money, you've got cash, you've got reserves, but actual operations,
Can I ask you a question? When
Hold on just a second, hold on.
Sorry.
I do think, and this was a point I needed to meet with the treasurer's office in town as well. I've had a business come to me, and I think this is gonna create more of an issue on how in our bill do we decipher upon what's due right now, what's a late fee. I
Yeah.
had one business come to me with a complaint recently, and I was gonna get with you guys, that he had a late fee of $6. Well, he was shut off because of that late fee, because he always pays off of current charges.
We wouldn't have shut anybody off for $6. They don't even print off on the cutoff
I'm
list.
not gonna mention it, I'll come to
Okay.
you and talk about
Okay.
it. But that's what the story was to me, and it is hard to decipher,
Yeah.
because if you
Yeah, the
don't
bills
pay
are
your bill-
confusing, I agree.
If you don't pay your bill prior
Yeah.
to the bill's